they somehow have this pride in the culture they have, and they really want to showcase them.
Hello and welcome to BluPrint Conversations, where we explore the stories, ideas, and innovations shaping architecture today. I'm Chad and I'm the digital editor for BluPrint. In this episode, we're diving into the relevance of Filipino Indigenous architecture, why it matters, what we can learn from it, and how it continues to inspire modern design. Joining us today is a multi-awarded architect from Zamboanga City. He's known for his bold creativity, deep respect for Filipino heritage, and innovative approach to sustainable design. Please welcome the founder of Deo Alam Design Architecture, Deo Alrashid Alam. Hello! Thanks for joining us today. So let's start at the beginning. For members of our audience who may not be familiar, how would you define Filipino Indigenous architecture and what makes it unique in your view?
Oh, I think it's closely tied to the culture, especially when it comes to the tribes for those particular different regions. I'm usually influenced by their arts and crafts, customs. Basically, it's really the culture.
I'm noticing a lot of homogeneity when it comes to architecture around the world, where you can't really differentiate from one city from another. Why do you think these traditional forms and techniques are still relevant today, especially as we face rapid urbanization and climate change?
In my cases, in our cases, especially with the projects I have, I cannot push international architecture. I've tried several times, but somehow the clients, especially from Mindanao, they don't want to really get into that type of architecture. They somehow have this pride in the culture they have, and they really want to showcase them. That's why I find it difficult to understand or to explain, to connect, or even make a comment on how those type of international architecture would be relevant. They're just simply proud, and I can't blame them. They have a very rich culture.
Why aren't we applying that here as well? Like say in Manila or even like Baguio. Why do you think Mindanao in particular is very proud of their roots and they'd like to express it, whereas everywhere else it's not so much?
In my humble opinion, I think it's yung colonial mentality. I think that's one of the main reasons. Hindi naman ganun for everyone. I have clients from the north before who were asking me to inject yung culture din nila dun sa mga residential houses. When we talk about technology naman, then that's another factor. It's true naman. Building technology ng West is actually more advanced, far better, and we just had to adapt.
Why are you drawn specifically to Indigenous architecture? Is it more interaction with clients, or is there a conscious effort to infuse it into your designs?
I'm a huge fan of Zaha Hadid. So when I was designing, even back in college, I was doing ultra modern and really futuristic designs. In fact, during the early years of Dada, after early 26, mostly modern. But then I met this client. She basically told me that I should draw from my inner tausug and actually bring that out. She was telling me that I should be proud and try to mix those type of architecture. So I did. It was really difficult at first, doing a Torogan house and mixing it or designing it in a very modern way. After doing several tries, I finally understood how I can pull that off.
So I want to talk about Current for Currents, which is an award-winning project of yours. So what are some of the innovations you integrated into the project, and how did you employ, say, like Indigenous wisdom as a blueprint for sustainable and resilient design?
So what is Currents for Currents? It's a study on how the lifestyle of the Sama, people of the Currents, the Tausugs, because they prefer to build houses on stilts. I adapted this type of lifestyle and tried to find a way how those type of architecture can actually be adapted in a modern sense, considering sustainability and then mixing technology to it. One of the biggest problems for those villages, they don't have proper access to power or electricity. I saw this structure that was built in London. It's a tidal power generator, and I figured, okay, that might be a good jump-off point for the design of the project. Can you imagine living in a house that actually generates power, and then you have the ability to actually sell that off to the provinces or cities near you? Since majority of the Sama and those tribes, their livelihood is actually fishing. So this will give them additional income. It's just a matter of teaching them about this technology and how to properly maintain those. That's the reason why it was called Currents for Currents.
So this is a recently completed project that you have in Tawi-Tawi. I think when you first sent pictures, it wasn't complete yet, but it looked like an alien landscape to me. Like it was completely different from anything I've seen here in the Philippines. Where do you draw from for that, and how did you approach that design?
The Bihing Tahik project was not the first one for Tawi-Tawi. It was actually the proposed Bongao Municipal Hall. They're proud of their heritage and they really want to showcase that one. Bongao is also a melting pot of culture, and you have different tribes with different artworks, different customs. So I figured, okay, for this one, they wanted transparency, they wanted inclusivity. So I was telling the client that let's move away from that thinking that Mindanao is Islamic architecture, and he agreed. So what we did was actually picked several really strong visual from each tribe, and after studying and connecting all those shapes, we found commonality. It was the arc.
Right.
So that's when we developed the shape for Bongao Municipal Hall. And then the client actually loved it and asked me if I could design something for them again. And this time it was for a resort. What they did actually was retain the major shape because it looked perfect already. And then the next step was to somehow connect the resort. And I found out that they have quite a number of those giant clams. After studying the shape of those giant clams, I noticed that they had those arches. So now it's just a matter of connecting the clam shape to the resort. The next question was structure. We had to study and check if Tawi-Tawi is exposed to major typhoons and whatnot. As a preparation for an event like that, we looked back into the way the giant clams are actually built by nature. And as it turns out, it's shaped like that. It's more for structural. That's why they grow so big. So we adapted that. Yeah, we were really inspired by nature on this particular project.
Based on our discussion, I think that we both agree that incorporating indigenous architecture into modern designs, it's a good thing.
I think it will depend on your intention on injecting indigenous architecture. I mean, if you're doing it just for style, then I don't think that's gonna work at all. Authenticity is the key. So if you're planning to do indigenous architecture, then you really have to study and understand. That way, when you come up with a design, it will be authentic.
Completely agree with that. So what are the practical steps and challenges in integrating indigenous materials and even techniques into contemporary projects?
Since we're using modern construction methodology, the construction workforce they're not too familiar with those type of materials now. They don't know how to use like a sawali wall panel.
Right.
They don't know how to attach or to install those kogon or rattan strip. So I think that's the major challenge. Plus the craftsmanship, installing those materials actually requires some intense focus and attention. I think yun yung nakita ko major challenge.
So before we wrap up, what's one thing you would like people to take away about the value of Philippine Indigenous architecture today?
Giving them their pride back. Well, taking back our culture to make us proud of what we actually have, instead of just constantly adapting what the others are giving us. There's actually soul to it. There's a soul to a project. Once you integrate your heritage or your history or your culture, I love modern architecture. I really do. It's just that the way they want to do it, there's so much soul to it.
Deo, thank you so much for sharing your time and your insights.
Oh, Chad, thank you. Thank you also. I mean, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for giving me the chance to actually explain what we are currently doing here in Dada.
And now we'd love to hear from you. How do you think Indigenous design can shape the future of architecture? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And this has been BluPrint Conversations.